Hello, I'm recording from up in the office today because it's Halloween. Happy Halloween! Um, so the first question for the individual posts here, um, when I think of doing research, what scares me the most? What makes me most scared is the possibility that I will still maintain a distance from the people that I'm interviewing or researching because even with qualitative research and qualitative interviewing process and participatory observation, you still run the risk of not really knowing the people that you are researching. I'm a woman, so I have an advantage there. There's some other things about myself where I would have an advantage. But I'm in a class called Project Freedom School right now, and a majority of the students are black, and I will never know that experience, no matter how much I research it, and no matter how I may, teach it, or how empathetic I may be, or how much knowledge I gain. I will never know that experience. So that's what I fear most is researching, but never really getting to that plateau where you really feel like you've immersed yourself so much so in the research that you can really identify with them. Um, that always kind of bums me out. The idea that I will never be, there necessarily. As far as like goblins and ghouls and so on, and zombies, vampires, werewolves, the zombie thing is really weird. I think I don't understand this whole like they eat your brain concept, but maybe someone else will elaborate on that. Um, but as far as vampires, I used to be a Buffy the Vampire Slayer advocate, and I still watch it on Netflix. And she was hardcore. She was a feminist. She didn't need, her angel boyfriend person to step in and fight for her. And it seems like we regressed as far as like feminist actions within the vampire like genre. If you look at things like Twilight, where a woman is now being defended and taken care of by a man, Mr. Edward and Mr. Werewolf, and these two men are fighting over her femininity and her female, looks and her female persona. So that's a little disheartening to know that we've gone back in time as far as like feminists and vampires. Um, those are fun questions. Thanks, Court. According to Summer and Summer, moving on to group 2 questions, what are the strengths and weaknesses of participant observation versus other forms of observation? Obviously, a plus would be that you're actually engaged with the participant and that you're actually utilizing the knowledge that you have of them to, assess them. There's a portion on page 56 where he says he can also use his own experiences as a yardstick to gauging other people's responses, which could be perceived as a plus, but it could also be a minus. Because what is big to someone may be small to another person. So that's kind of a plus and a minus there. The participant observer has defined an active role in what is happening as a distinct, opposed to being a standby or customer or spectator. You're actually involved in the action. The minus that they mention on page 58 is it's the most stressful of observation methods or techniques because you can have feelings of anxiety. Some of the examples they use, like a gun being put in someone's briefcase and that kind of thing, that may cause a personal threat. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, obviously that is stress. So I feel like those are kind of plus and minuses to that question. And on the second question for the group, we had between, according to Wise and ourselves, what are the differences between panels and samples for interviews? Oh, wait, no, I'm reading group 1. Sorry. Group 2, according to Wise and you, what are the key differences between qualitative interviews and survey interviews? Qualitative interviews engage in the responses. There's a section here on page 50 where they give an example of what a qualitative information might include, which may be many of our respondents felt their present circumstances to be undesirable, but with qualitative material it would include asked to rate their present circumstances on a scale, The best time in their lives to the worst. Over 30% respondents rated their present circumstance in the lower third of their scale. So it's really precise, it's really detailed whenever you're using qualitative methods. You get new perspectives, and you get to see how people react to things as far as interviewing people with quantitative methods from the past, the events that are occurring that are ongoing, and opposed to having fixed answers where there may be limited answers, and this is on page 2 of the essay. You get a response that can be, inundated with a lot of thoughts and a lot of processes and a lot of accumulative knowledge, opposed to just fixed answers, which you would have in a survey. And something else I noted that's kind of like quantitative and the observation method where you're participating, the participant observation method, is that you get to listen to someone, you get to share their experience, you have some kind of emotional tie to it, so it does become more important to you. You do become more involved as a researcher, opposed to getting fixed answers or opposed to watching something from a safe distance. You're actually having some kind of emotional tie. You would hope people would have an emotional tie, varying on what it is. It could be, coal miners getting, empathy for whatever conditions may subside due to disease. Or it could be, watching young women watch television and, are they identifying with Buffy the Vampire? Or are they identifying with, the Edward and whatever her name is relationship? So I feel like it kind of forces you to reevaluate the way that you're looking at research and how you get a holistic description, as it says on page 10. So, alright, have a happy Halloween!